What would you sacrifice to escape the relentless march of time? To trade one's essence for a fleeting illusion of perfection? Is this not the darkest bargain of all? In Tales from the Crypt's The Switch, we are thrust into the story of Carlton Webster, a man consumed by vanity and the desire for youthful transformation. Tonight, we peel back the layers of this haunting tale, revealing its tangled roots in identity and the soul's battle against annihilation. Carlton Webster is a wealthy man, a man who has built his life upon material success, yet finds himself crushed beneath the weight of his aging body. You and me both, Carlton. When Linda, a much younger woman, rejects his love, not for his heart, but for his aging visage, he begins a journey that leads him into a deep moral struggle. A mysterious surgeon promises him a chance at renewal, a chance to trade his face for that of a younger man. Carlton complies, paying an exorbitant price to erase the lines of his years. But Linda's affection remains elusive. The surgeon offers a more radical solution, a full body transplant. Piece by piece, Carlton abandons himself, shedding the very frame that carried his identity to begin with. By the tale's end, he stands young and empty, penniless and alien to himself. Linda, captivated only by wealth, walks away, leaving him hollow in both body and spirit. The Crypt Keeper's ironic laugh is a reminder one cannot trade parts of the self without forfeiting the whole. Carlton's tragedy is a denial of his essence. In choosing transformation, he rejects the infinite task of self-creation and opts instead for an external mask. The body, for him, becomes an object to manipulate, a thing to be traded for acceptance. But in this exchange, he loses the fundamental freedom that defines him. What Carlton desires is not merely Linda's love, but her recognition and acknowledgement of his worth. Yet as he trades away his body, he sacrifices the very self that could be recognized. This failure to strive authentically for recognition reduces him to an object, a commodity subject to the whims of others. He becomes a man without agency, enslaved by the very transformation he sought to command. Within Carlton's fractured journey lies the archetype of the shadow. His younger form, a stranger's body made his own, becomes a dark reflection of all he cannot accept. Rather than integrate the truths of aging and mortality, Carlton projects them outward, attempting to sever himself with the inevitable. Linda, too, plays a role in this drama of self-denial. As the unattainable anima, she embodies Carlton's longing for connection and transcendence. Yet her indifference underscores his failure to reconcile his inner contradictions. Instead of achieving individuation, Carlton descends into fragmentation, the unity of his psyche shattered by his external pursuits. Linda's attraction to wealth over age suggests a transactional nature to their connection, mirroring societal scripts where older men wield power, whether economic or social, to attract younger partners. For Carlton, Linda represents vitality and renewal, a projection of what he has lost and is struggling so hard to regain. Dating much older men often embodies complex psychological undercurrents. For younger women, such relationships may offer perceived stability, security, or even paternal validation. The older partner's wealth and experience creates an aura of control, often masking deeper insecurities about aging and relevance. In Carlton's case, his wealth becomes both his tool and his prison, binding Linda to him while deepening his sense of inadequacy. For Carlton, Linda's youth is not merely desirable, it is existentially necessary. She becomes a lifeline to a version of himself he cannot otherwise access. Yet this pursuit of external validation through a younger partner leads not to fulfillment, but to a hollowing out of himself. In his desperation to possess her, Carlton loses his very identity that made him capable of love in the first place. Carlton's story unfolds against a backdrop of ruthless commodification. The surgeon's transactions mirror a world where youth and beauty are currency, where even the body is reduced to an asset for trade. Carlton's wealth grants him the illusion of power, yet it cannot protect him from the existential void that wealth cannot fill. In trading his riches for youth, Carlton confronts the ultimate irony. The young man's body, now his own, is as powerless as his aged frame to secure Linda's love. The capitalist dream promises salvation through acquisition, yet delivers only a hollow, perpetual hunger. Carlton's decisions throughout the episode betray a profound loss of autonomy. Autonomy for Kant is the capacity to legislate moral laws for oneself through reason. Carlton, however, subordinates his rational agency to his desires for youth and external validation. By doing so, he becomes a slave to his inclinations, his fear of aging, his desire for Linda's affection, and forfeits the moral freedom that defines his humanity. The surgeries Carlton undergoes are emblematic of this surrender. Each procedure strips not only his physical wholeness, but of his ability to act as a rational, autonomous agent. Instead of confronting the natural process of aging with dignity, he succumbs to the surgeon's promises, treating his body as a means to an end, rather than an intrinsic part of his moral self. In Carl Jung's terminology, Carlton's shadow dominates his decisions, leading to a distorted self-image. His fixation on regaining youth binds him to his intrinsic worth of his existing identity. This shadow-driven pursuit causes him to reject the natural process of aging, a symbolic denial of mortality, and a refusal to embrace life's full arc. His inability to confront his shadow leads to a fragmentation of his self, culminating in this existential downfall. Linda, as Carlton's anima, functions as an unattainable ideal, reflecting not only his personal desires but also cultural constructs of femininity and worth. His pursuit of her affection symbolizes a deeper yearning for completeness and affirmation, which he believes can only be achieved externally. This projection prevents Carlton from achieving true self-acceptance, illustrating Jung's warning against seeking fulfillment outside oneself. From a Nietzschean perspective, Carlton's tragedy lies in his failure to affirm life as it is, choosing instead to chase a fabricated ideal. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power emphasizes the individual's drive to create meaning and embrace life's inherent challenges. Carlton's refusal to accept his aging body reflects a rejection of this philosophy, as he attempts to impose external values, youth and beauty, on his existence. Had Carlton embraced the idea of the eternal return, the notion that one must live as though every choice will recur infinitely, he might have reevaluated his actions. Nietzsche's framework suggests that true freedom lies in affirming life in its entirety, including its limitations. Carlton's desperate surgeries and eventual destitution underscores his inability to find value in his authentic self, leading him to a cycle of despair. Carlton's arc also reveals the dangers of failing to become an Übermensch, Nietzsche's ideal of an individual who transcends societal constraints to create their own values. By succumbing to societal pressures of youth and physical perfection, Carlton relinquishes his autonomy, becoming a caricature of human frailty. His reliance on external validations echoes Nietzsche's critique of herd mentality, where individuals forsake their own potential for the fleeting approval of others. The Switch offers a critique of contemporary attitudes toward aging and beauty. Carlton's desperation reflects broader societal fears surrounding the aging process, exacerbated by billion-dollar industries that profit from these insecurities. The episode serves as an allegory for the commodification of youth and beauty. Carlton's willingness to trade his wealth for a youthful appearance mirrors real-world practices, such as plastic surgery, Botox, fitness industries that capitalize on age-related anxieties, etc., etc. Studies in cultural sociology have shown that media portrayals of beauty often marginalize older individuals, reinforcing harmful stereotypes and unrealistic expectations. Carlton's play also highlights the intersection of aging and masculinity. His fixation on Linda's approval reveals a deeper vulnerability, challenging traditional notions of male strength and self-sufficiency. Social science research on gender and aging has found that men often experience identity crisis as they age, grappling with declining physical prowess and societal relevance. Carlton's downfall illustrates the psychological toll of these pressures, magnified by his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. As the Crypt Keeper reminds us, we're all bound by the inexplorable march of time. The task is not to flee it, but to face it. to embrace the self as it is and strive endlessly to become. For in the end, what we are is not the sum of our parts, but the spirit that endures their loss. Watch this video next.